Two screens here. It's driving me crazy.
Try having a third one.
Okay. There she is. I would like to call this special school board meeting of July 31st, 2018 to order. The time is 5:07 p.m. The purpose of today's meeting is to hold a public hearing to consider the adoption of the 2018-2019 tentative millage rates and the 2018-19 tentative budget. At this time, we request that all cellular telephones be put in silent mode. I would like to take this opportunity to remind members of the public of the district's mission, which is to ensure that each student reaches his or her highest personal potential, and the district's vision to be a world-class school system. I am going to take just a minute to explain what you are seeing on the screens to your right and left. You are looking at a new school board agenda management tool. We are implementing this to streamline board governance, increase efficiency, and provide more transparency and open communication. Starting with today's meetings, we are using this new tool called Board Docs. Board Docs gives you the convenient access to upcoming meeting agendas, topic information, minutes, and video. Nothing has changed with navigating our website, except that in the final step, the information will appear in the Board Docs application. During board meetings, you will be able to follow along with our agenda and see real-time voting results on issues that come before the board. All documents are automatically archived by meeting agenda and can be searched by date or keywords when the meeting is over. If you are watching from home, you can access the board agenda platform from our website. Just go to www.leeschools.net and click School Board at the top of the page. Today's agenda includes presentation on the percent of increase-decrease over the rollback rate, proposed millage, budget overview, proposed tentative budget, a public hearing on the tentative budget, adoption of the required local effort millage, basic discretionary millage, capital outlay millage, resolution determining revenues and millages, and resolution adopting the tentative millage rates for fiscal year 2018-19, fiscal year 19 tentative budget and related resolution adopting the tentative budget, acceptance of the 2018 certification of taxable value, scheduling of the final budget public hearing. Comments from board members, board attorney, and superintendent. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Fisher, seconded by Mr. Teuber. Please record your vote.
Excuse me.
I don't,
Thank you.
oh, okay.
So why do they have nay first? No. And be the...
There it is. It's on that screen there.
Which screen?
Well, yes, on this screen down here.
Let's go.
Everybody's a yes. 7 yeses.
Let's see that.
Down there.
Oh, down here. Okay. Sorry. The motion passes 7-0. I will now turn the meeting over to Dr. Greg Adkins, Superintendent, Mr. Greg Blurton, Chief Financial Officer, and Mrs. Kelly Lecter, Director of Business Services.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This evening we're going to present to you our tentative budget. I just want to make a couple quick comments regarding this budget. This particular one has been, process has been quite challenging. The reason, first and foremost, it has to do with Hurricane Irma. Hurricane Irma, as we all know, had a devastating impact on our community, and it also had a devastating impact on our budget, so to the tune of $31 million. We are working to recover dollars back to the district through FEMA and also through insurance, and so Mr. Blurton and his team, along with many, many others in the district, are working toward that effort, but in the meantime, things are tight. That coupled with other things such as rising insurance costs, to include not just medical insurance costs, but also fixed asset costs such as buildings, et cetera. And all of this really combined to make this a very difficult year. I think the team did a very thoughtful job in putting this this budget together, so I'm looking forward to presenting it to you today. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Blurton and Ms. Lecter to take you through tentative budget.
Thank you very much, Dr. Atkins, and good afternoon, board members. And tonight is a couple of firsts. Board docs, that's pretty neat, looking behind me, and the new technology, first time that we have used that in this type of forum and going forward with our board meeting tonight. And I was going to say thank you also, Mr. Martin, but Mr. Martin is retired, and we have Mr. Dodig, so this is your first tentative budget presentation hearing, as is mine. So thank you again, Dr. Atkins, for the introduction. And Kelly and I will go through the budget agenda, which you have in front of you on board docs, and for those that are watching from home, as well as up here on the screen. And the presentation of the increase, decrease over the rollback rate and the proposed millage. Kelly will be speaking to those, and I will take the budget overview and the tentative budget that we have in your materials and presenting to you tonight, and the adoption of the resolution. So with that, I will go ahead and turn this over to Kelly to begin the discussion about the millage rates and the rollback rate.
Thank you. Just so everybody's aware, so what the rollback rate is that's the millage rate that is necessary, or the millage rate is the amount that will generate the same dollar amount as was generated the year before based on the new tax roll. For us this year, the rollback rate is 6.4886. However, our proposed millage rate is 6.401, so that is a decrease of 1.35% over the rollback rate. So we are generating less than we were before. So the required local effort, just so you know, is a 3.52% decrease of that. So that's the largest part of that. So the required local effort is the largest decrease in that. When you look at the millages, there's three parts of it. There's the required local effort, which is the amount that you are required by state to millage. There's the discretionary millage rate, and I'm sorry, the required millage rate will be 4.153% is what we're looking at. Discretionary millage is 0.748, and that is the discretionary one. You have the discretionary not to do it. However, if you don't do it, there are some offsetting consequences. You must do that in order to get the full amount from the state. There's the capital outlay millage of 1.5 mils, and so total mills of 6.401, which is a decrease of 0.278 from the previous year's millage rates. If you look at our millage comparison, this is the lowest millage rate that we've had. It is at 6.401. In the last 13 years, you can see this is the lowest that we've ever had over that time period.
And the required local effort is set by the state, right?
Correct.
And that's page 118 of last year's budget book that shows that decrease each year as the state rolls back the amount of money we can capture in revenue in growth of property values, right?
Correct.
Okay. Just clarification. Thank you.
So if you look at the tax roll history, you can see that this year is it's going up over the last few years. It's not as high as it was in 2008, and in 2008, just so you have some reference, our millage rate at that point was 6.96. So even when the tax rate was higher, our millage rate was higher at that point. So now it's 6.401, and we're almost up to those, not even almost, but close to those levels.
Right, so as property values have been increasing, the millage has been going down.
So what does that mean on the average property owner? So right now, the property values are going up 4.7% over last year. So it's at $85 billion. For the property owners whose value on their home was $100,000 last year, that means that the value of their property this year is around $104,700. Using last year's millage rate, that would have cost them $667.90 in property taxes for the school district, and this year it would be $670.18. So it would be a $2.28 increase. We do that, we show that for the values of homes between 100 and 200,000. Did you have a question? Okay, sorry. And then the 3% are those property owners that have the Save Our Homes and the homestead exemption. The Save Our Homes does not allow your property value to increase more than 3% a year. So with that, when you look at the homeowner of a $100,000 home, Their property value goes up to $103,000. Under the old rate, they would have been paying $500.93. Under the new rate, it would be $499.28. So they will actually see a decrease in their taxes of $1.65. We do that again for the $150,000 and the $200,000, and for a homeowner that has a home that was valued at $200,000 last year, they're actually paying $10.25 less in their taxes for the school district. So when you look at the millage amounts and what they generate for the school district, the required local effort amount of 4.153 will generate $342,377,034. Our discretionary millage of .748 will generate $61,665,789. Our capital outlay millage of 1.5 will generate $123,661,342 for a total of $527,704,165 from our taxes.
All right, thank you, Kelly. So in addition to approving what you've just been presented by Kelly, the millages, the rollback rate, the required local effort will also be the superintendent's recommendations for your approval will be the tentative budget, which we have outlined here. Total, our budget for 17-18 was a little over $1.5 billion. This year's budget, the tentative budget, which you have in front of you today, is $1.44 billion. Most of that being in the general fund of $876 million, and you have each of our different fund balances from debt service, capital, food service grants, and internal service, each outlined for you. And within the budget, we have specific purposes for each, and I'll go through each of them with you. Our general fund, as you know, is our major source of revenue. It's 61% of the total budget, and that supports all of our schools, all of our teachers, all of our facilities that we have out there, and the 92,500 students in each of our schools. The resources that we have, for the programming that we have in our schools, the educational goals that we have, the general fund supports those efforts and the mission of Vision 2020. As far as the Florida Education Finance Program, or FEFP, these are the numbers, and you've heard these as we briefed you on the budget going forward, and the number that sticks out, and as you've heard, is the $701 million total revenue that's coming to us. As you start breaking that down, and the $15 million that we have, that is a $15 million increase, but it has strings attached to it. We have, as far as the monies that go, the school resource officers, the additional funding for the Safe School allocation is part of that, to the tune of about $4.5 million. So that's the monies that we will be spending from our Safe School allocation for the School Resource Officer Program. 2.1 million of that 15 is for the mental health allocation. The 6 million for insurance, and there's a combination of numbers in there. The insurance rate increases that we have, as well as the board contribution increase that we also put into that, and then the retirement benefits that we also put for the tune of about 2 million. So you add those figures up, we're over that $15 million increase, which also is supposed to go towards growth, and we are a growing district, one of few in the state of Florida. So if you take each of these, the main numbers that we talk about a lot is the FTE numbers of 7,560 full-time equivalent, and then if you break the numbers down, it equates to a 47-cent per student increase. So the sources of our operating revenues, you see the pie chart broken down from local, state, and federal. 57% from local sources, 42% from states, and federal just under 1%, half of a percent at 0.54. And where does it go? The majority of it is in our instruction and direct school expenses, as well as you see the support services, student transportation, our operations and maintenance of where where all of the funds and revenues that we receive, where it goes in the general fund. Food service, our current budget is 70 million, and we are this year in the 18-19 school year, 100% of our schools will be part of the community eligibility program. That's a big deal. We've started this program, and it has steadily increased as now we are at full participation. So that is breakfast and lunch for every child at no additional cost to parents. And as far as the food service revenue, I think you heard today in our workshop with Gibson Consulting, some of the areas that we were able to save from direct and indirect costs. So as food service, the numbers that you see here is inclusive of that. Special revenue, these are grant funds. So our Title I funds, our IDA grants, other federal grants currently budgeted at $45.3 million. As more grants come and that we apply for and are approved for, the special revenue fund increases. And our capital funds, we've talked about capital quite a bit. So this year's budget, 18-19, as we are going forward at $256.3 million. And again, that 1.5 mils that we talked about earlier, that is the sole source of this revenue. What we have been talking about is the debt. We will be taking on new debt for Triple M, the high school going out in the East Zone. We talked about Lehigh Seniors additions, so as those come on board and the other schools that we've talked about, the debt will increase. And before we go to the next piece, well, there's a slide in here about debt, so I'll wait for that. But again, the major focus of our capital fund account is everything that we've talked about as we are with the half-cent sales tax and the revenues for that. It is on the safety and security upgrades of our schools, keeping our students safe, keeping up with the growth that we have, and building new schools and maintaining what we have. The sheer amount of facilities and schools that we have, and keeping them up to date, keeping them safe, as well as the technology that goes along with it. Again, you heard from Gibson Consulting, we are ahead of the curve as far as the technology that we're utilizing in our schools and providing to our students, and that comes from here. So debt service. We, this past year, our debt service fund was about $58 million. It is increasing to just under $64 million, and it will continue to go up. With the addition of debt for Triple M, as well as the Lehigh Senior edition. So those two coming on board, and as you heard Mr. Mora talk to you today in our briefing, construction costs, materials, labor going up at least 15%. And these are things that our operations department are checking on a weekly basis. So the numbers that we have in this tentative budget are not final, and those numbers as it relates to debt service and the capital expenses that we'll have in building these schools, even in maintaining the schools that we have to buy materials for, those numbers are going to continue to go up. What's important to note here is the statutory debt service capacity. So as we have those numbers, don't have it, sorry. So basically, 58.2% is where we are currently. State statute says you can go up to 75% of your capital outlay millage. So we are at 58.2%. Our board policy is being at 50% of our capital outlay millage. So that is the second percentage, the 87.2. So we are at 87% of board policy currently. Those will continue to go up as we borrow more. Our reserves, our contingency represents currently 3.1% of new revenue as this tentative budget, and the reserves are there and for contingency purposes, just as it says. Hurricane Irma is a perfect example. And even with contingency and the fund balance that we had, hit it very, very hard. So our policy and statute is at least 3% of revenue, and we're at 3.1% with the tentative budget you have in front of you. So the School District of Lee County, all of what we've talked about and what this tentative budget goes to support, the day-to-day operations, the classrooms, the teachers, supporting over 120 schools and 92,500 students, supporting the initiatives that we do have from the state, from our district ourselves, our vision and mission, and the student achievement. The ultimate goal that we have is student success and Vision 2020. So we have before you the opportunity to submit this budget for and in support of our mission and the students and employees of the Lee County School District and the citizens of Lee County. And with that, Madam Chair, I hand this back over to you for the public hearing portion.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is public hearing. We will now recess this special school board meeting and open the public hearing to consider the adoption of the tentative proposed millage rates and the tentative budget for 2018-19. Dr. Atkins, would you please continue by stating your recommendations?
Yes, Madam Chair, the first recommendation, I recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the 2018-2019 tentative proposed required local effort millage of 4.153 mils with a proposed amount to be raised of $342,377,034. The required local effort, or RLE, includes basic RLE of 4.140 and a prior period adjustment millage of 0.013. Recommendation 2, recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the 2018-2019 tentative proposed basic discretionary millage of 0.748 mils with a proposed amount to be raised of $61,665,789. Recommendation 3, recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the 2018-2019 tentative proposed capital outlay millage of 1.50 with a proposed amount to be raised of $123,661,342. Total millage will equal 6.401 mils with a total amount to be raised of $527,704,165. Total millage rate to be levied is less than the rollback rate by 1.35%. Fourth recommendation, I recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the resolution determining revenues and millages levied and the resolution adopting the tentative millage rates for the fiscal year 2018-2019. Recommendation 5, recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt a tentative budget and related resolution adopting the tentative budget for the 2018-19 school year as follows. General operating in the amount of $876,666,082. Special revenue budget in the amount of $115,484,050. Debt service budget in the amount of $63,931,247. Capital outlay budget in the amount of $256,263,553. Internal service budget in the amount of $131,370,559. Total tentative budget $1,443,715,491. Recommendation 6, recommend that the Lee County School Board accept the 2018 certification of taxable value for Lee County, Form DR 420S, and authorize the superintendent to complete and execute the form. Recommendation 7, recommend that the Lee County School Board schedule a public hearing on the final 2018-2019 millage levies and final budget for the 2018-19 school year for Tuesday, September 11th, 2018, at a specially scheduled board meeting to begin at 5:05 p.m. in the Lee County Public Education Center boardroom.
This time, the public will be invited to speak on these matters. The time allowed per comment is 3 minutes. Is there anyone in the right section who wishes to address the board on this agenda? Anyone on the left side?
Ms. Morgan, I have one card.
Oh, okay. And then would you please read the
Sure. Mr. Louis Navarre. Mr. Navarre, you're to speak on only the matters that are before the board on this public hearing, and you have 3 minutes. Okay.
Good evening, Superintendent Atkins and the board. Louis Navarro, over 40 years in Lee County as teacher and retired from Lee County School Board. Why did we increase? I'm all for safety of the students, so I agree with you. I just had a question: is the capital outlay is going to cover 70 buses, and it went from 55 to 70, which, you know, that's quite a bit. Will that take up the whole capital outlay budget and not leave us anything to start the new school for Lehigh? I had asked Melissa to tell me how much they cost, but we were unable to find that out, and what was the mileage of the old buses. I think basically, if we did something like former board member Bob Chamanek wanted and reduce the routes, which I understand have not been reviewed in a few years, we might not have to spend so much and take away from our capital outlay for new schools. I have information coming in from Duval County, and I know you guys like to compare with other counties. Sometimes I think we need to just worry about Lee, but they've saved a lot of money by privatizing the bus drivers, and they have certain substations. The person in charge of communications, I believe it's Kasner, she's going to send me the information. But I think that's the last time we should make, I don't want to say waste money, but spend extra money on busing. So, also had a question on the new wellness center. Is that still on in the budget? Because I saw we had a $795,000 budget shortfall. That was the only part of last year's budget I saw a shortfall. And I don't know if we need a wellness center, but that's my personal opinion. But other than that, I'm in agreement with you. So if you can answer my questions, that's fine. Maybe you can't do it here in the public. 13, well, all right, your tentative budget says 3.1% for the contingency. Every time I divide, I get about 13%. I'd like an explanation on that. You know, maybe I'm doing the wrong math here, but I know you have extra money because we've talked about all these other things that you wanted to spend the money on, so it's got to be somewhere. Okay? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro. I now close this public hearing and reconvene the special school board meeting of July 31st, 2018. The board will now consider each of the superintendent's recommendations. Dr. Atkins, please restate your recommendations individually, allowing the board the opportunity to vote before moving on to the next one.
The first recommendation, recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the 2018-2019 tentative proposed required local effort millage of 4.153 mils, with a proposed amount to be raised of $342,377,034. The required local effort, or RLE, includes basic RLE of 4.140 and a prior period adjustment millage of 0.013.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Moved by Dr. Kuckel, seconded by Mrs. Giovanelli. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please record your vote.
Out, so now I need to get back in, I guess. Rejoin the meeting. Well, how do I do that? Where's it at? Join the meeting. I don't know. Went to log in. It wouldn't let me again. I got kicked out, I guess. Let's see what happens. There, thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
I'm logged in. Nothing happened.
You should have got help first.
Did she vote? She vote?
I said I gotta get down.
Okay.
Is there someone who has not voted?
Ms. Patrica?
She's working with Chris now.
Trying to get logged in again.
Thinking the whole time. Thank you for helping.
Why is she not voting on the screen?
This?
Having glitch.
To use her own computer.
I know, but
Thank you.
Practice makes perfect.
Okay, the motion passes 7-0. Second recommendation, please.
Recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the 2018-2019 tentative proposed basic discretionary millage of .748 mils with a proposed amount to be raised of $61,665,789.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Fisher, seconded by Ms. LaRiviere. Discussion? Seeing none, please record your vote. Motion carries 7-0.
Next recommendation, recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the 2018-2019 tentative proposed capital outlay millage of 1.50 with a proposed amount to be raised of $123,661,342. The total millage will equal 6.401 mils with a total amount to be raised of $527,704,165. The total millage rate to be levied is less than the rollback rate by 1.35%.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. LaRiviere,
Support.
supported by Ms. Fisher. Any discussion? All those in favor, please record your vote. Motion carries 7-0.
Next recommendation, recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the resolution determining revenues and millages levied and the resolution adopting the tentative millage rates for fiscal year 2018-2019.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Mr. Schreiber, seconded by Dr. Kuckel. Any discussion? Please record your vote. Oh, I'm sorry. Motion passes 7-0.
Next recommendation, recommend that the Lee County School Board adopt the tentative budget and related resolution adopting the tentative budget for the 2018-19 school year as follows. General operating in the amount of $876,666,082. Special revenue budget in the amount of $115,484,050. Debt service budget in the amount of $63,931,247. Capital outlay budget in the amount of $256,263,553. Internal service budget in the amount of $131,370,559. Total tentative budget, $1,443,715,491.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Fisher,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Giovanelli. Discussion? Please record your vote. Motion carries 7-0.
Next recommendation, recommend that the Lee County School Board accept the 2018 Certificate of Taxable Value for Lee County, Form DR420S, and authorize the superintendent to complete and execute the form.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Teuber.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. LaRiviere. Discussion. Please record your vote. Motion passes 7-0.
Recommend that the Lee County School Board schedule a public hearing on the final 2018-2019 millage levies and the final budget for the 2018-19 school year for Tuesday, September 11th, 2018, at a specially scheduled board meeting to begin at 5:05 p.m. in the Lee County Public Education Center boardroom.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Dr. Kuckel, seconded by Ms. LaRiviere. Discussion? Please record your vote. The motion carries 7-0. Next on the agenda are comments from board members, the board attorney, and superintendent. Ms. Fisher.
Thank you. I just want to thank the staff for the work that they've done along with the county to prepare this budget. I know things are lean and we continue to do more with less. And I'm happy with this clear presentation, which is very transparent and available to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Giovanelli.
Thank you. Great job.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because it's my second budget that this presentation struck me as being clear and easy to understand, and I'm very appreciative of that. And I also want to congratulate Trey, because I know this is a happy day for him. This is the very first Lee County Board meeting ever that was completely paperless. I applaud you for that. Thank you, guys.
Mr. Teuber.
Financial team, good job, good presentation, did a good job.
And to all of our departments who gave feedback and insight into the budget, thank you for doing everything you could to make it as lean as possible and still provide excellent service for our students. Thank you.
And what they said.
And I agree. Mr. Dodig.
No, I would just want to applaud staff. I know we have another meeting to go, but board docs was pretty flawless. So thank you.
Dr. Atkins.
Just to respond to one of the questions regarding our buses, Mr. Cody just sent me a text. He said we reduced our total routes from 766 to 718, potential cost savings of $1,630,000. Old buses, as you know, are more costly to maintain, and also they consume more diesel. About $8,000 to maintain versus $2,000 for the new buses, which are under warranty. So it will give us some operating efficiency. So I think in the long and short run, probably a good move. One of the things that we also have to remember is that we have less breakdowns, so it helps us with on-time delivery. But appreciate the question, and that's some of the response. Buses are quite expensive, as you know, approximately $100,000 a bus. And 102, thank you, Mr. Cody, going up a little bit, 102,000 per bus. So it's quite an investment on our part, but there is a savings on the other end.
Can you repeat those numbers? The decrease in bus routes, and over what period of time is that? Is that 2-year period of time? That's from last year to this year?
From last year to this year,
Wow,
that's just 1 year.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, 766 to 718. And just to put this in perspective, when I was a school principal, which is now many, many moons ago, you know, I've been down the district office about 16 years. I was on a four-year out committee, and at that time they were running, and this is, you know, like I said, almost 2 decades ago. You're talking about 750 routes back then.
With 63,000 students.
Yeah, 63,000 students, very inefficient back then. And I remember the assistant superintendent at the time talking about 800 buses and upwards in the next, you know, 3 or 4 years. So we're 718. That is remarkable.
Thank you very much, Dr. Atkins. At this point,
I just wanted to ask, could you please repeat that cost savings amount?
1,630,000 potential savings.
Can you repeat that one more time, please? Mr. Cody's back there just smiling.
okay, at this point, having no other business to come before this body, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Fisher,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Teuber. Please record your vote.
Seriously? In 1 year? Plus all the savings from last year.
I got out of there. Now I don't know how to get back.
1.6.
Well, I don't know.
No, because he just said that's a difference. from
Okay,
last
so
year.
we're at
So
the
that's
505 right here. Okay, I'm on. Join the meeting.
We now have 95,000 students.
I'd be here all night. I've been here till next meeting.